Welcome to the Stronger Marriage Podcast with Trey and Lee. Doing something different this week. It's going to be exciting. This is the 5-day total makeover challenge we're dropping today. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to the Stronger Marriage Podcast with Trey and Lee. On this podcast, you'll hear real topics about real life. They cover everything from married sex to raising kids to loving your spouse so much that you're willing to forgive them for occasionally being the most annoying person in the world. Trey and Lee have raised 4 boys, been married over 30 years, and somehow still really like each other. And now, live from the metropolis of Childress, Texas, a place so flat you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. Here are your hosts for the Stronger Marriage Podcast, Trey and Lee Morgan.
Hello, everybody. We are so glad you joined us today.
We are. Glad you're here. Welcome to a day early. We're trying to get some stuff done because we've got a busy week. And so we're putting this out on Tuesday instead of Wednesday.
Yes. It's better than being a day or two late like we usually are,
That is right. We just want to thank you. I want to thank you. We have so many people that message us and say they love our podcast and they're listening or they're new to our podcast. Thank you for listening. We are honored that you have come our direction and that you are listening each week. And that just makes us feel good. We'll continue to put out podcasts as long as you're willing to listen. I think that is a pretty fair deal. But thank you for doing that. It's been a good week. We had a big event on Instagram.
We did.
We hit 100,000 followers.
That was awesome.
It was pretty exciting. 100,00 followers. Yes. God is good to us. Has blessed us, and we're very thankful for that.
Absolutely. We, gotten messages from a lot of you also that they had gotten some spam requests based off of our account. So if you're getting those, please report them.
Yep. Sometimes people will make up fake accounts to look like others. One lady said, I thought I was going to win a prize, and then they asked me for my credit card number.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So we're sorry about that, but we've asked Facebook to fix it or Instagram to fix it, and they're not too concerned about it at this point.
Yeah, they don't care.
So,
but we're glad you joined us. If you're our Instagram follower, thank you for being that just right there. Tell us a little bit about today.
So we are doing a makeover challenge. We have makeovers for everything, right? I mean, like home makeovers, which we're kind of in the middle of another little project. We won't go into too much detail about that right now, but it's keeping us busy. But people do home makeovers. People do physical makeovers. That they come out with a new hairstyle, and new makeup, new clothes, and all that kind of stuff. But today we're going to talk about a total marriage makeover challenge. We're laying down a challenge to you.
This is exciting. I'm excited about it. I think this will be fun. We generally do this. If you've been to one of our workshops, we generally do this at our workshops. It's kind of the follow-up homework, but we're going to give this out on our podcast only, not on social media. You got to listen to our podcast to get this. But it is a marriage makeover, something to just kind of kick your marriage into high gear, if you want to put it that way. That's maybe just your marriage may be good, it's going to be great. It may be great, it's going to get better. If you are willing to do these 5 things for the next 5 days, so that's kind of how it is. 5 days, 5 things. Man, it's going to be a good week for you for marriage.
It is. These are 5 things that we just feel like are so vital to marriage. Every one of them are vital in some way or another to marriage. They're important to both parties involved, and we hope you're up for the challenge.
Yep.
We think it'll make a difference in your
You
marriage.
can start today. You can start tomorrow. Whatever day you're listening to this, you can plan a date and go, hey, we're going to start this on Friday. But we would like for you to do 5 days of these 5 things that we're going to give you. None of these are outrageously hard. None of these are going to take like all day long. Nobody's asking you to take a long weekend trip. These are 5 things to do for 5 days, and you can start them when you want, and they will bless your marriage. And they work best if you can get your spouse to go along with you. So maybe one of the best things you can do is get your spouse to listen to this podcast with you so that y'all can be on the same page and know kind of, here's what we're doing, these 5 things for the next 5 days.
Yes. Kick it off by listening together and then do this. We really want you to do it for 5 days. If you just cannot, for whatever reason, pull off an entire 5 days, which is short. It really is. 5 days goes by fast. But if you can't pull that off, do what you can do. I mean, if you do all 5 of these things for one day, that'd be awesome. But we want you to do as many days, consecutive days, as you can in a row. And hopefully you can do all 5.
Yeah. Best thing you can do with your spouse is both of you commit. Let's do 5 days, or let's do 3 days.
Yes.
But here we go. Let's kick it off with number one. Number one that you're going to do for the next 5 days, every day, is 0 criticism for your spouse.
This one's going to be hard for some of you. We've talked about, I think we did an entire episode on, what to do if you're kind of a glass half empty person and a little negative, and that, if you tend to criticize a lot, then this one's going to be a little bit hard for you. And here's the kick. If you do say anything negative, your spouse can call you out on it.
Try.
And say, you're being critical, you're being negative. And then you've got to stop what you're doing and say 3 positive things right there about your spouse. Say, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be negative. But you're awesome. You're a great cook. And you smell good. I don't know. That was off the fly.
Perfect. You did well.
But yes. Now, here's an interesting thing too, I think. There have been times when you've told me I was being negative that I didn't even realize I was being negative. So I think this is good for 2 reasons. First of all, it'll get you out of the habit. It'll make you realize what your spouse thinks is negative. I mean, it really may be an eye-opener to you, some of the things that you say that you don't mean anything by as being negative, but your spouse takes it that way. And however they take it, their feelings are valid. So say, oh, wow, I didn't realize that you take that as being negative, so I'm going to work on that.
Yeah, or maybe you can go, how could I have resaid this in a way that would not come across as negative?
Absolutely, and it may be something as simple as changing your tone. There's a lot of things, but I think it will just help. If you struggle with this, it will help to make you more aware of it and to kind of get you to thinking in the right direction about being more positive and less negative.
Now, one of the reasons that we are saying no negativity or no criticism, really, no criticism for the next 5 days, is because statistics show that marriages that praise more than they criticize, 5 times more than they criticize, the divorce rate drops to 12% in those marriages. That's what we want. That tells us 2 things. It tells us that praise is good for your marriage. It also tells us that criticism is very hard on your marriage. So we want to become marriages that are giving a lot more praise than we are criticism. And so for the next 5 days, 0 criticism. And if your spouse goes, you're being critical, stop and say apologize and say 3 nice things about them. You got this. You might think this is just ridiculous, but you'll be amazed at how it can change your marriage in just a few days by giving more praise than criticism or cutting back on your criticism. Hopefully by the end of 5 days, you will catch yourself being, I almost was critical. And that's kind of the goal, is you want to be able to catch yourself going, I shouldn't say that, that's critical, because we're trying to make marriage better by being less critical.
Yes. So if you feel like you're going to get called out, you might want to start making a list of things that you love about your spouse. Exactly.
You smell good. You look good. All them things.
Yeah.
There you go. So no criticism for the next 5 days. Okay. Number 2, spend at least 20 to 30 minutes a day together in conversation. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be talking the whole time. Sometimes you can just sit there and sit on the porch swing together.
Right.
And in that 20 to 30 minutes, you could have talked for 10 or 15.
Yes.
But you make some time every day for the next 5 days to what we call have coffee time together. Now,
That's
why do we
exactly
call
right.
that coffee time?
Yes, about 3 to 3:30 every day. We fix coffee and we sit down. It's kind of our time to just take a little breather during the day, a little rest, and we talk. We talk about what do we got coming up. Let's look at our calendars.
How are you? How's work?
Yeah,
What's
just-
going on in your world?
Exactly.
We do this
We just
every
talk.
day, probably nearly 7 days a week, but at least 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes something goes on, but
We started this,
Yeah.
goodness, probably 25 to 30 years ago.
and
in our
kind of on
marriage.
accident. And then we realized how good it was for us. Now, we're not telling you have to do this at 3:30 every afternoon.
Nope, you gotta pick
that
a
just
time
works
that
for
works.
us.
Yes.
So it may be before the kids get up and leave for school. It may be after they've left for school. It may be after your kids go to bed at night. But you've got to schedule this. You just can't
Yes.
go, well, hopefully before bedtime tonight we'll find. You have to go, how about after supper we turn off the TV
Right.
and we sit down and just visit for a little while?
Yeah, 3:30 is. You said it happened by accident. You used to pick the kids up from school, the older kids, because I would have younger ones that I was home with, and it was usually, they were like towards the tail end of their nap, and I'd be like, oh man, I don't want to wake kids up to go pick the other kids up from school. And so you were flexible enough that you could go pick kids up and drop them off. And one time I think you said, would you make some coffee? I really need some coffee. I'm going to grab some coffee when I come in. And then I think it just kind of evolved from there, where I was making you coffee and we just kind of sat down and had a cup of coffee for about 30 minutes before we, continued on with whatever we needed to
I
do
went
for
back
the
to
day.
work. You went on doing whatever you were doing.
Yeah,
but,
so that works for us. But sadly, and we've told this statistic before, couples spend only about 4 minutes a day doing this right here. And
That is not
And
enough.
we just don't feel like 4 minutes a day is really enough to connect. And so this is without phones. This is without TV on. This is without distractions of any kind. Try to find you a quiet place, like Trey said, the porch. Go to the bedroom if the kids are in the living room playing video games. Go for a walk after supper. That's one of the best times to have uninterrupted conversation time. But yes, you work this in.
Yeah, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. And if you are going somewhere with your spouse this week and you're going to drive for more than 20 or 30 minutes, you're going to get that in there.
Yes.
Turn off that radio and visit a little bit.
20 to 30 minutes every day for 5 days.
So we've got, number one, no criticism for the next 5 days. We've got every day for the next 5 days, spend 20 to 30 minutes in conversation each day. Number three, we want you to consider being intimate every day for the next 5 days. Now, is that a challenge for some?
Yes.
It is, because of kids and schedules and
Yes.
busyness. Now, why is this important in marriage?
Well, I mean, sex is just a powerful marital glue that will make your marriage stronger. It's a bonding. It's just a time for bonding. It's a time for reconnecting. We've said this before too. Sometimes we will just let a long amount of time go by without realizing it because we get busy or one of us is sick for a period of time or whatever, and we start really getting on each other's nerves when it's been a long time. And it's kind of like, that's the last thing I want to do because he's driving me crazy. But it's kind of like if one of us will just give in, if I can just be so blunt as to say, you kind of just have to give in. And after we're intimate, it's like, wow, I like you again. You're my husband.
You're my favorite. You're my favorite
like
lady
you.
again. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah,
but
so.
but it works that way sometimes. There is a reason, and we've talked about this in other podcasts. One of the powers of intimacy in marriage is the ability to connect with your spouse, where two become one flesh, and it is a connection that oxytocin flows throughout your body during intimacy and reminds you, this is my husband and this is my wife. And Google that word oxytocin and read about it. It's incredible what God has done to plan this for your marriage. But we would love for you to consider. It's really, really hard to go for 5 days and be intimate with your spouse, to have no criticism for your spouse, to conversate with your spouse. for 5 days and you not be going, man, marriage is good right now. It is hard to be mad at your spouse. It is hard to not realize, man, I am getting an idea here that marriage is just a good thing. I'm just learning over again that, man, I need to prioritize my marriage. So consider that intimacy for the next 5 days.
Yes, and we realize it takes more than sex to make a healthy marriage. We know that. But we also feel like it's pretty impossible to have a healthy marriage without sex.
Yep.
So, just, yes.
That is exactly right. You know, can I throw in a pretty cute story right here if I can? Abilene, Texas. I had a little old man, and when I say old man, he's probably 70s or 80s, and he comes up to me after we kind of gave this challenge one time, and he goes, are you coming back next week? And I wasn't sure where he was going with that, because I thought, is he wanting another homework assignment, another 5 days? And I finally just said, why do you need me to come back? And he goes, well, if I'm being intimate for the next 5 days at my age, somebody's got to come back and do my funeral. And I just got tickled at him, and the Lord just kind of said, because I remember thinking, what did I say to that? And I just kind of, out of my head popped, well, but think about it. That's really not a bad way to go, is it? and he just kind of nodded his head and goes, you got a point there, and turned and walked away. I thought that was pretty cute. But
so hopefully he's still alive and doing well.
And we're hoping they didn't do a funeral the next week. But so okay, we're no criticism, 30 minutes in conversation, intimacy for the next 5 days.
Physical intimacy for the next 5 days. Okay. Now we're going to spiritual intimacy.
Ooh, number 4. And you just thought we were getting you out of your comfort zone. Wait till you get to number 4. What is number 4?
So we want you to pray together every day for the next 5 days.
Yes. Oh, we love this, because praying together is so healthy for your marriage. When we have done this challenge in the past with big groups of people, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I really thought a lot of the guys have a higher sex drive than the ladies. I thought I thought I would come along and they'd go, well done on this homework. I like this. We don't get a lot of feedback on number 3. Number 4 is what we get all our feedback on. Every couple goes, that's good stuff. We did not realize what we were missing out on. We didn't know that praying together was going to be so good for our marriage. Now, how can you pray together? Tell me really quick. Now, if you want to sit down on a couch and pray together, if you want to pray with your spouse when they come home from work or before they leave, but what if this is new to you and you're a little uncomfortable, what is a good way for maybe to start this off to where you can be a little more comfortable?
Wait until you're in bed and you're just about to go to sleep and the lights are off, and take your spouse's hand, and man, you can just a simple prayer. Dear God, thank you for our marriage. Please bless it. Please give us wisdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. It doesn't have to be long and drawn out.
Pretty simple.
And
maybe you can do, husband can go one night, wife can go one night, and husband can swap back and forth. But I can promise you, if you're willing to do that for 5 days, you'll be going, oh, we got to be doing this all the time.
Yes. And hopefully it'll evolve. Hopefully you're doing this. But if you're not, start simple, and then hopefully it will evolve into, you're making a list of things you want to pray for, for your kids and whatever. But spend time praying together about things that are important to both of you.
Yep.
So it's, prayer is one of the most intimate acts a couple can do together. So yes, and it will bless your marriage. We promise you that.
All right, number 5. You're doing 5 things for the next 5 days, and the 5th thing is to write your spouse a sweet note or send them a sweet text message for the next 5 days. So we had the don't criticize under number 1, and this is where we want to get into the praise.
Yes.
What do you appreciate about your spouse? What do you love about your spouse? What do they do that's really, really well? What do you not tell them thank you for enough? You need to send them, and you can write a note. You don't have to write a note. You can write it, type it out on your computer. You can send a text. We're not asking you to write a love letter. If you want to write a love letter, you can write a love letter. If you want to write 5 sentences, man, that's great. But you send some kind of sweet text message to your spouse for the next 5 days, telling them what you love about them. You can put it on Facebook one day if you want to. Here's what I love about my husband or my wife. But you let them know that you appreciate them daily for the next 5 days.
Yes, every day. And as Trey said, it doesn't have to be, that doesn't have to be long and drawn out, because people are going, oh, I run out of things to say. You won't run out of things to say, but, just 1 or 2 things every day that are sweet sentiments to your spouse.
That is exactly right.
Yes.
Exactly right. So it is essential in marriage, in every marriage, that you be deliberate in doing things that bless your marriage, that cause it to grow.
Yes, intentionality. We preach intentionality all the time. So yes, be
This
deliberate.
challenge is one of those things. Take the challenge.
Yes.
Do all 5 for the next 5 days. If you can't do all 5, something's going on. Maybe your spouse is going to be gone this weekend. Do it for the next 3 days.
That's right. Or pick a time that you can. Put it on the calendar and say, we can't do it consecutively 5 days right now, but if we wait until next Monday to start, we can get all 5 days in. So yes.
So
we want you to do this.
We want to go back over this one more time, because you may be driving and you may be going, oh, I can't write this stuff down.
Yeah.
No criticism for the next 5 days. 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes in conversation each day for the next 5 days. That doesn't mean 20 minutes watching movies together. Number 3?
Yes, have sex every day for the next 5 days. And remember, there are different ways to have sex. I'm just going to throw that out there, okay?
Ooh, you're spicing it up here, Mama.
I mean, there are different ways.
Don't have to do the same
you don't
thing
have to do
every
the same
day.
thing all 5 days, okay?
Make it exciting,
let's
folks.
Just say it like that.
Ooh, I like that. Maybe you could do a podcast next week.
No,
with
I
what,
probably
okay.
won't. Probably not.
Number four. I had somebody from Australia this week said they love our podcast because you make them laugh.
Oh.
I thought that was great. Yeah. She's out of her comfort zone, folks. I'm going to just be honest.
I'm sweating in my chair. That just made me sweat saying all that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, pray together every day for the next 5 days and write your spouse a sweet text message or note for the next 5 days. You can do this.
We are
This isn't
so
hard.
excited about this, and we want to hear from you.
Yes.
If you're going to take the challenge, let us know. If you complete the challenge, let us know. We want to know what kind of difference it's made in your marriage if you complete it. So let us hear from you.
We want to know. We want to know which ones you liked best, which ones were a struggle. We would just love your feedback.
Absolutely.
But let us know what you think. The 5-day total marriage makeover challenge.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. You got this, folks. This is going to be good. If you've listened to this and you're excited about it, send this podcast to your spouse and let them hear it and go, hey, let's get going on this thing. So we've had fun. We'll see you next week. Anything else?
No, I'm excited to hear
All right.
from you. Yeah.
All right. Let's get going.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
y'all.